good afternoon, Adam. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Marshall. How are you, man?
I'm well. I'm well. Guess what? It's Friday and it's almost five, brother.
It couldn't have come sooner, man. I feel like I'm like every week. I'm a little zoomed out. I look like I'm zoomed out,
Right, right, right.
but I got to tell you, I look forward to it, man. Cheers to you, sir.
To the last Zoom call of the week.
Speaking of which, it's been a lively week. I think we had a lot of. I mean, very thankful to have a lot of views on our 5 for 5 last week, and thankfully some good commentary as well. So I know one of the things we wanted to cover this week is kind of talking about some of the things people had asked about, some of the comments that people had made, as well as just a little bit of the new information this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you were to sum it up, most people ask questions around two areas. One is how to limit their exposure with their contracting and things going forward. And the question on everyone's mind, not that you haven't heard it yet, is virtual conferencing. What to do? What do I need?
Yeah, undoubtedly, man. I think everyone's just trying to figure out, well, if we meet again, how do we do it safely, thoughtfully? And you know, it all really boils down to risk mitigation. And one of the things I was super curious, super passionate about, and I've gone through a couple discussions and webinars, is this company called Meetings Escrow. It's a Toronto-based organization. It's a handful of years old, run and created by people that have been in the hospitality world for 20 plus years. But with regards to risk mitigation, I think it's a super fascinating product in the sense that moving forward, you know, some of these entities, whether it's hotels or DMCs or other vendors that, you know, are frankly on a shoestring budget in this modern COVID time, you know, who knows if they're going to be in business in 12 or 18 or 24 months. So Meetings Escrow kind of takes a well-established product of an escrow account and applies it into meetings. So essentially, if you're a meeting planner, you put money in this escrow account, it's interest bearing, it's then protected in the event that either party don't fulfill their obligations. And then for the other side, for the supplier that's waiting to get that money, you now know, even if the other organization, if the client ends up going out of business or maybe has some less desirable business practices, you have guaranteed income in that account. So when you think about trying to create comfort and protect against risk, I just thought it was a super fascinating product.
Well, that's pretty amazing. I feel bad. I dialed in at the last part of that program. I was on another conference call with the client on a virtual conferencing. So I appreciate you giving me some feedback on that because I'd like to learn a little bit more about that for some of my clients.
It's the least I could do, man. It's the least I could do.
See, what a guy. So on the virtual conferencing.
Yeah, talk to me about virtual, man. That seems to be a hot topic.
Well, you know, this last week, we've probably had 2,000 or so customers attend some webinars that we've done with one of our partners. And the really nice thing about this is whether somebody uses Zoom or Blue Note or WebEx or any one of the different portals you have for their preferred medium for a virtual conference, this group actually embeds the coding for each one of those technologies into their software. So you could have 5 or 6 different platforms all engaging into one. So it's extremely scalable. Not only can they ensure that you can get your speaker and your keynote all there together for you, they can even do a virtual trade show. So imagine we used to walk the IMEX floor and what have you, and you'd have set appointments to be able to go and talk with people. It's the same thing. It's just in virtual space. You'll be pre-assigned a time to go and speak with Adam from Prestige. And at that time, the window will pop up and you'll be able to go into your breakout room and have that conversation, that one-on-one time. You can still have ads. You can still have commercials. You can still do other things to generate income as well from a sponsor standpoint. And the kicker, some of these folks are actually sending things out to the person's home that's an attendee so that they get the same swag bags that they would going to a regular conference. So truly, it is a virtual conference.
That's some big time stuff, like some Blade Runner, super futuristic type setup. But I'm just so enthused by that. I mean, you know, it seems that there's just so much buzz around how do you do virtual and how do you pivot and how do you turn the corner and make it successful. And I have to imagine it's just so much more than running a WebEx or running a Zoom call if you actually want some production quality behind it. So that's
absolutely
awesome to hear.
So today we've got 2 really good vendors that we worked with, MCW, which I believe you know, and we have Aria Productions out of San Diego. 2 great companies that are offering great options for clients. So we need to direct people back to Meet Prestige so they can get some information on this. I kind of wanted to make a joke when you said the buzz. I was thinking about the murder bees that are headed this way. But I'm going to let that slide. Hey, did
Yeah,
you
like there's
see,
not enough to worry about in this modern age.
this is true. Did you see the emails that came through from some of our partners in terms of schematics for social distancing? I got a
Yeah,
great one. Go ahead.
no, tell me, man. I know there's one in particular that I was really enthused about.
Well, I got one from Krista Kirasaki with Destination Concepts in LA. And they went through the whole process of laying out receptions and buffets and all these different type things to be able to provide social distancing in the setup, whether it's plexiglass dividers to keep people, properly social distance, or think about playing checkers. They did a checker like diagram of people on an actual bus so that they could get people to and fro. It's really forward thinking in terms of what we can do to get back to business. What did you
Yeah,
get?
well, completely. I got something similar but different from our buddies down at Southwest Conference Planners in Arizona. And, certainly with the bus schematic, but one of the interesting things I saw was also in a social setting. So instead of, cocktail receptions and things like that, which can still in some capacity occur, but, it's creating like individual end tables instead of a coffee table, and creating, rounds that have 5 people instead of 8 or 10 people. Same thing with the bus, creating a staggered seating to ensure that people are as socially distant as is reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
loading from the back to the front and then exiting from the front to the back. I mean, it's enthusiastic, or I am enthusiastic about seeing things like that, because it helps to know that there's a thoughtful and intentful way that people are conducting business to help protect the attendees that are coming in, but to provide a level of comfort to say it's still safe to meet in person.
Wow. Yeah. Hopefully we get to a quick end of this. This reminds me, I did a call with DMI just the other day, and in follow up, they gave some great information from the American Hotel Lodging Association, as
Oh
well
yeah.
as the American Industrial Hygiene Association. What was interesting about this is they provided guidelines for you and I as attendees going to a hotel or a conference.
Oh,
They
that's nice.
provided guidelines for the employees, which we've seen numerous times over.
Yeah.
But an interesting twist this time is they actually walk people through how to open a hotel or a business that was closed during this time period. What are some things to put in place to ensure proper, sanitation is there to protect us all? So again, I'm
Yeah.
really encouraged to see what's going to happen.
Well, and I think that's super important guidance too. I mean, it's one thing for Hilton and Accor and Four Seasons, who are all fantastic companies, to have established protocol that's very, data driven, partnered with major medical organizations and cleanliness and things like that. But if you're independent property A down the street, you don't have a major brand behind you to help guide that. So, I mean, what a great resource to have to say, like, here's a safe way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It brings me to another article I read. How do you feel about taking a cruise during this time period?
Yeah, I guess so. You're so well read, Marshall. You're so well read. But I feel like I'm obviously a little bit more risk tolerant as a traveler, but I know that a lot of people have read some real nasty, like, oh, cruises are a petri dish and it's blah blah blah, like very negative press, and some of it I'm sure is warranted. But there's always 2 sides to the story. But I'm kind of curious. Have you heard anything new on the cruise
Well,
world?
I think this is one industry that has really taken this a little bit more serious than others, because they are on a closed loop system. So
Completely.
safety and security of the passengers is probably a little bit more important when you're out at sea than when you're in a hotel, because you can just go outside, right? If you go outside on the boat, well, you're not coming back in. But with that said, over the weekend, Carnival Cruise Line saw a 600% increase in people purchasing fares for August. Isn't that
That's
amazing?
wild.
I think
Well,
people are ready to get back to traveling.
yeah, I got to tell you, I'm chomping at the bit, man. And I know 600% is certainly an impressive number, and especially coming from 0 to 600 is big.
This is
And
true.
I'm sure part of that has got to be individual or leisure rebookings, but part of that too, different than a hotelier. There are a lot of cruise people
Right.
and folks that love cruising, and for good reason. I mean, you unpack once, you go to a bunch of different destinations. There's always food and entertainment 24 hours a day. Like, there's a lot of great reasons to be on a ship. And August is aggressive, I think, but that's awesome that they've got a plan in place and that we see that kind of resurgence. I think, if anything, that gives me confidence to know that people are still not only excited about travel, but willing to act on it.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of confidence, I need to drink some of this liquid courage because my wife has a list of things that I need to get to this weekend. So
Well, I think
log out
shaving
here,
is
sir.
probably one of mine.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to log out here and we'll catch up on Monday.
Good
Cheers.
to talk to you, man. Thanks again. Cheers.